Mullan's with me. How are you?
Good morning,
Very
Rowan.
good to see you.
Nice to see
the
you
Honorary
again.
Consul of the Great Republic of Poland is with us, and it's Jerome Mullan this morning. And you're welcome. It's been a while since we had you in.
It is,
and
yeah.
in my studio, so it's particularly joyful that you're here at Christmas time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Christmas is a time for Polish people to enjoy life, to experience the very special traditions that they have.
Absolutely.
And you've discovered some of these.
Yes, indeed. They have their own traditions when they celebrate Christmas. And of course, the big celebration takes place on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
When they see the first star in the sky at around 7 o'clock. And then they start to have their big meal, mainly a fish meal, and they have about 12 dishes or something.
My goodness.
Something enormous like that.
And they're actually looking out for that first star that appears in the evening sky.
The first star that appears in the sky, and then once the first star appears in the sky, then it is start to celebrate Christmas. Whereas we, of course, do it the following day.
The following day, but that's so very logical.
It is, yeah.
You know, it gives real meaning to the business of Advent, waiting.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, there's the star. Let's see it. Let's see what's going to happen next.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the Polish people in our community, they're so very welcome, and they're very good people. I suppose like all communities, you've good and bad, but they have a kind of characteristic of being they're hardworking, honest, determined to be part and parcel of the broader picture.
Yes. Very much so. I mean, they are very hardworking, and they want to be, as you say, very much part of the broader picture. They come here with a very clear intention in mind, which is basically to work hard, earn some money, and perhaps maybe go back home at some stage. But in fact, the reality has been now after what 10 years. 10 years
How long
since
were you consul?
I'm 6. I'm actually just over 6.5 years.
I remember when he became consul. It's like yesterday.
That's right. And so they are here now 10 years, and the population has not changed greatly.
That's good.
It has changed a little bit, but it hasn't changed greatly.
Now, it's your task is it's a big task, because you have a population of Polish people, and you're looking after their difficulties, their problems. When they're up against it, they come to you.
They do indeed, absolutely. And I suppose it's only natural. I tend to be, they don't come to me as a first resort, but they do tend to come eventually as a last resort when they have everything else, if you like, has failed, and they have difficulties to be looked after. So I suppose that's the time that I hear from them mostly.
Yeah, and this year passed. We're now coming to the end of 2014. What were the issues? Was there a main issue that preoccupied your community and yourself this year?
Well, in the early part of the year, there was. I mean, in terms of, especially around Belfast, where you had a number of very disturbing attacks taking place on immigrant communities, and particularly the Polish community were affected by this because they were mainly Polish. Naturally enough, you're going to have a situation where they're the largest ethnic minority population, and they tend to be the first to receive. And then it moved from them to the Muslim community, so it kind of then started to move around a little bit. So, but thankfully, Rowan, I'm pleased to say that in recent times, we've not had any attacks, and we've been working very hard in the background over these past 6 months in particular, talking to the communities in East Belfast and liaising with the communities there to try to, in fact, get that message across, that very important message of what a wonderful country Poland is, and the role that Poland played alongside British forces in the Second World War, and all of that. And in fact, actually, it was back in just a couple of months ago, the mayor of North Down organised an exhibition of British-Polish exhibition to in fact show the link that there was between Poland and Britain in the Second World War.
It was a huge link as well.
Huge
because
link.
They had their own squadron that fought alongside the RAF.
They had indeed 303 Squadron, it was known as, and it was based in Ballyhalbert in North Down. And in fact, actually, there are at least 3 or 4 bodies that are actually buried, of airmen that are buried there. And there's about 10 buried in Milltown Cemetery.
You see, those who were breaking the windows and putting the graffiti on the walls and smashing the cars, they could have had no idea that they were doing this to kith and kin, in a sense, who was keeping the Hun at bay.
Absolutely. I mean, they had absolutely no conception, basically, of that history. That history between Poland and this country. So, I mean, it was important for us to try to get that message across, and I hope we have reached some of those people, basically, that have been doing that.
You were very strong during those troubled times of the beginning of the year. And I thought, to some extent, forgive me, but it was like a coming of age for you. It was a rite of passage for you.
Yeah.
Because here you were in the full glare of the limelight of television and whatever, dealing with issues of life and death.
Yeah.
Whereas previously you might have been dealing with different kind of issues, salaries and pay. And, that sort of discrimination. But now we were up against it.
Yeah.
Your people were being driven out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were attacks, and I, of course, I mean, I wouldn't be doing my duty, basically, as I see it, if I didn't come to defend and to, represent what was going on in that community. So I had to come in and express my view, basically, of what was going on, to express my abhorrence. Because, Rowan, we were all, in this country, many of us who are now living our lives here, were immigrants ourselves.
Yeah,
we understood, basically, the trials and tribulations, basically, of being a stranger in a foreign land.
Absolutely.
And I mean, this is what the Polish people are, strangers in a foreign land, trying to cope with life, trying to cope with jobs, trying to cope with language.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yes.
Because, the whole thing of communication is at the heart of it, and I wonder if it's still happening, the wonderful service by St. Vincent de Paul with a language facility helping people learn the language.
Yes, for some indeed, and of course a great many of them do come, in fairness, do come with a very good command of English. They will, especially the younger generation, will have had it in their curriculum. They would have learned English as a matter of course. The older generation, not so.
Yeah.
I mean, they were under a communist regime, and Russia was the influence, in their country, as it were, so therefore you didn't have the same. So, it is difficult. They want to be integrated in this community, but it can be difficult for those without the language.
It was interesting. Yesterday, Kieran Mackin, the principal of St.
Yes,
Patrick's, was in with me yesterday.
I saw Kieran on your show. Yes.
Yeah, he was in yesterday. And we talked about this because he was saying for some of the parents who don't have the language, if they weren't, for instance, attending parent-teacher meetings, it could have been an embarrassment over the language. And he has a special liaison officer in the school to reach out to these people and to go, that's a great step forward.
Absolutely.
And well done, St. Patrick's, for that.
Indeed, absolutely. It was very nice to see St. Patrick's School and how it has developed, actually, in the meadow. Because when I came here first, I lived very close to that particular school.
Did?
Yes.
You were up just the hill behind it.
Just up the hill behind it, yes, indeed.
Goodness gracious. And when you came here first, you were also possessed then, even then, of a social conscience. Because when you discovered itinerant families sleeping in Teguines down at Dublin Bridge, you made sure that you were going to found the Newry Itinerant Settlement Committee.
Yes.
And you did.
We did, yes, indeed, and with your help, Rowan, at the time.
Well, we were there together.
You were there together, and we had a number of very, very good people, including the late Maeve O'Reilly, who was a great friend of mine, Dr. Neil O'Reilly's wife, who joined me, and along with Sister Philomena up in the Convent of Mercy, and various people, dead and gone as well, is right. But it was, you'll remember that time, and it was awful to see people, human beings, sitting out under sackcloth.
Yeah, that's what it was.
You know,
a tarpaulin would
tarpaulin.
have been grade 1.
There was no
it would have been
caravans.
first class.
I mean, there was no caravans.
None at all.
No, not at all.
No.
And of course, I grew up, you see, when I was down in my home place in County Cavan, you know, we always had a smattering of travellers,
Yes.
itinerants who would have come, and my mother was very, very, very good to them and charitable, and she would get things
that's
made.
where it came from.
I suppose.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, yeah.
We're all driven by and influenced by our mothers who have gone on
We
to
are.
heaven.
We're very
They're
influenced
still-
by
yeah,
mothers. Absolutely.
Which is good.
Which
you
is
know.
very good.
But I
yeah.
think we should describe to people what those little Tigini things were. They would have taken sally rods almost, or sycamore branches, and bent them, stuck them into the ground, bent it over in an arc, stuck it in there. There might have been 10 of those going down the length of the bare earth.
That's right.
And then linked together latitudinally with other sticks.
Yeah, and
then over that was the covering.
That's right, and you couldn't actually stand up on them.
No.
I mean, they weren't tall enough actually to stand
Yeah.
up on them at the time. I always remember that.
So well we remember going in and the little old matriarch sitting there with a blanket pulled around
Mrs.
her.
McDonough.
Mrs. McDonough. And the, and the fire lit and the smoke filling the whole place.
That's right.
That's
right. And they lived in that. You know, so I mean, they had a very, very, there was a lot of sort of deaths, basically, obviously. People died very young in those days among that community. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's changing, but it's changing slowly, and attitudes are improving all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, of course, we have a different kind of homelessness. We have the previously affluent European folk, Irish folk, in the streets of Dublin and the streets of Belfast.
Yes,
that's ongoing.
Indeed, and you know, that brings us to you know, last week, just a week ago, we had the Christmas charity lunch which you attended, Rowan.
Lovely.
And we had Father Peter McVerry from Dublin. I mean, what a great human being Father Peter McVerry is, and the work that he's doing for the homeless. And you know, this really should not be happening. I mean, this is absolutely you know, obscene that we have in modern day of 2014 people on the streets in Dublin. It's hard to fathom that this is taking place. And you know, what I struggle with basically is how we can't deal with it and solve the problem.
I had 3 of the homeless people in the studio a week ago.
Yeah.
They come up on the train to me.
Yeah.
And they sat down. We had an hour and a half of conversation here.
Yes.
And what they were saying, take the boards off the houses that are boarded up. We have enough people of skill that can go in, put the paint on, make them habitable.
Yes.
And you'll solve the problem.
Yes.
And that's what they're fighting for.
Yes.
So we're hoping that.
Well, I mean, and it was great to hear Father McVerry, you know, speak about it, and we were able to give him a little bit of money. It won't solve.
No,
it won't go too far with the huge problems that he has to solve. But the great thing just on the charity lunch, it was great to reach the £1 million.
Oh, for goodness sake! Great satisfaction.
After 15 years.
Yeah.
And then you've been at many of them, if not all
I
of them.
Close
you
to
know,
all of them,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And such a joyful thing to be part of at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Because it gives true expression to the command of love your neighbour and to be there.
Well, absolutely. You know. I mean, and for the children who are selected to go on the little trips to Disney World, to Disneyland, and so on, this is a great joy. And it was wonderful to see all of them coming together before our event, of those that went on the trips in years gone by.
Yes, of course.
And then to be able to support all of the particular charities, the children's charities, which is what was the whole design of that event, which was to set up to actually look after children's charities at that time of the year.
But when you were at the end, when you were saying who was going to go on the trips this year, and now we have the lucky winner of the trip this year.
Yes.
You've all won.
You all won. That's right.
Just so beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, you could never make a choice. You must send them all.
They are our future, you know, the children.
Well, we have to look after
and we build
our children.
Shoots coming up into adulthood and
into
the new professional world.
And we don't always maybe look after our children as well as we should. You know.
Thankfully, it's still harsh out there. Mm-hmm. But having said that, there is growth in caring, and it's happening.
Yes.
All of the bad days seem to be slipping away a wee bit.
Well, I think we have a great caring community here in Newry. There is no doubt at all about it, led by wonderful organisations like St. Vincent de Paul Society.
Yes,
who are outstanding in what they are doing.
Absolutely. And then we have, for example, we have the Newry Knights, led by the Salvation Army.
And the Salvation Army.
On the streets of Newry.
Indeed.
In the nighttime economy. These are men and women who are putting themselves in harm's way, in a sense.
Absolutely.
And every on the other side, St. Vincent's, every Monday and Wednesday night, they're out there visiting the homes of those who need help.
That's
and
right.
They're going into awful situations.
Absolutely, exactly. They're at the front line, so they are, and indeed they're all over the place. And I always remember the Salvation Army when I went to England. They were very strong, and they were always there, basically trying to deal with, whatever the problem was in terms of homelessness or whatever else. Yeah.
Have we poverty of that kind of nature within the Polish community or not?
Well, you certainly have families that are struggling, where they might find themselves out of work, and then many of them are in jobs too as well, very low paid. They come with the difficulty that they don't have the language, and they do then end up in very low paid jobs and in the minimum wage. And it's very, 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 very difficult. I have a family, for instance, at the moment. They've just come to me there in the last couple of weeks, and our husband was working, he's in his mid-40s, and he was taken into hospital for a major heart surgery. He had a very serious operation. Now, she has 2 children, both at school-going age, and at the moment she's living on his sick pay. That's all she has, actually, to live on. And she is trying to survive, and without his full wage.
Well,
now, that's an example.
It needs also to be said that St. Vincent de Paul are there for them as well.
Yes.
In the community.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
That's right.
So
That's right. So there are others basically who will find themselves basically in difficulties when it comes. Wintertime is the worst, of course, because you have the big bills with heating oil and things like that come people's way, and that's a big struggle for some.
Well,
but they're very proud. They're very proud people, Rowan, and indeed I've had a family only very recently, and they have a major problem with one of their sons. And I did offer some help to them, but they were too proud really to.
Pride is not good.
No.
But one of the great humilities of this world is to say, please.
Yes.
Help me.
Well, no, it wasn't. I think they just want to try and solve their own political difficulties. They will come to me maybe, if they absolutely need me. They know I'm there. And they can come.
It's tiring for you. It's a heavy responsibility, because when they come to you, they're coming to you with difficult issues, and that immediately means work, and more work for you.
Well, I mean, I'm very fortunate, Rowan, in that I have in the office, over where I have the office, there is, the Newry and Mourne Council have done a wonderful job, and I have to praise Newry and Mourne Council for putting in place an ethnic minority officer in Newry and Mourne Council, in Arthur, over there. And he is doing a magnificent job over there in dealing with the problems. And Newry and Mourne is one of the few councils that actually has such an officer in place, dealing with a very, very big workload among the ethnic minority communities,
and
not just the Polish, but all the other nationalities.
Not only have they put it in place, they put it in place in the town hall.
In the town hall.
They're not hiding it. It's there. Come.
That's right.
Bring all you Polish people. Come here. This is your hall.
Correct. Exactly.
It's amazing. Jack.
So I mean, that's very, very good. And I mean, and that's for those that are obviously in need.
It's a huge thing. But your own workload. You'll take a break at Christmas, will you?
I will, yes. I have all the grandchildren coming.
How many now?
5. Five grandchildren. So we have actually, my son is in London, outside London. He's coming with his wife and 2 girls. And then my daughter actually and her husband and the 3 children will come up a couple of days later.
I'm trying to visualize you with the apron on Christmas Day, and serving the Brussels sprouts.
Well, I'm not too sure they'll let me into the kitchen, actually. I'm not a great man in the kitchen. But there will be plenty, there won't be any shortage of help.
Goodness. But How many years is it since we founded the itinerant committee?
Well, it has to be about 45 years or thereabouts, because it was in the early years when I came here. It was a couple of years after I arrived. I'm here 47 years.
45.
Yeah, 45. It must be around
Jerome,
that.
it only seems like yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
I
it
can
does.
see Philomena, Sister Philomena there over at our meetings,
Yeah.
and we had some of our meetings over in Corrie Square.
Yes.
There was one or two there, and Philomena, Sister Philomena was there, and then all my children were born and went to school with Sister Philomena, and then I remember her in the home when she was dying.
Yes.
She had this, is it the Alzheimer's thing it's called?
Yeah, indeed.
And she
or,
was just
d-
fading away.
dementia.
Dementia.
Yeah. Mhm.
And at the end, she was there in a blue these lovely blue knitted
Yeah.
cardigans.
Yeah.
And she was like a little sticky insect.
Yeah.
Just, this woman of huge intelligence.
Yeah.
Was just disappearing.
And she was wonderful, and she was a wonderful person, because you know the children that went to her school, she in fact dressed them in the morning.
Yeah.
in
The
the
itinerant
uniforms.
children. Yes,
Absolutely,
yeah.
yes. And I mean, you know, they were not able to come with clean clothes, you know, because of the conditions that they were living in at the time. And she would actually prepare them, you know, in new sort of clothes, actually for school. Yeah.
It was
and
amazing.
one of, and then there was, you know, there was Sister Aloysius came
Yes,
after her.
yes.
Remember her
I
as
do,
well?
I
Yeah,
do.
that's right.
You have a good memory.
Yeah,
you're
well, not
very
too
sharp.
bad.
Yeah, you're
not too
flying.
bad.
You're flying high.
I'll try and stop it from fading
Oh,
as the years go by.
As the
Yeah.
years go by.
Uh-huh.
Well, we challenge ourselves, don't we?
We do, yeah,
The day we stop,
absolutely.
you're looking very well. I commend you on it. And you're
Not too
definitely
bad.
all set. You're on the chocks, ready for Christmas, ready to burst free.
Well,
and have
I've
a great
been
Christmas.
very busy getting lights up and all kinds of things,
yeah.
because I want to have the house with looking well for the children that are coming. Yeah,
Well,
yeah, they enjoy it. Yeah,
Well, sure, it's great.
yeah, it is great.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
And give her
indeed.
love and great good wishes to your beautiful Polish community.
I will indeed. I will indeed, Rowan. Thank you very
Jerome,
much indeed.
and stay with me, and we'll wave goodbye to the people here, because we're viewing all over the world.
Yeah.
And we're so glad.
I
that
had
you're there.
Father Christoph, by the way. I saw him at the weekend.
Wow.
You know Father Christoph.
I do. He's
and
coming. Maybe he'll come to me next week.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
my
yeah.
Christmas
Well,
program.
yes, you should have a
Be
word with
good.
him.
Yeah,
he's in great form, and he'll be here for Christmas.
We'll have a
Yeah.
Polish program next week.
Yes.
We'll do this next week.
Right,
And
okay.
I'll talk to Christoph. I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
We'll get some Polish food in. We'll get this, that, and the other. We'll have a ball.
Yes.
And that'll be good.
Yeah, good.
Poland forever, we say. A lovely, lovely land.
Thank you very much.
There's a man I meet in Dublin at the Dublin Centre for Caring, and he will all, his greeting to me is Czarna Madonna. Czestochowa,
Yes.
the Black Madonna
The
of
Black Madonna,
Czestochowa.
yes, of
And that's
Czestochowa.
the big greeting every week I meet him.
Yeah.
And he's full of life, and he's full of the joie de vivre of the Polish people.
Yeah.
But listen, you guys out there, go well, take care. I'll be back with you tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning, God willing. That's the plan. And bringing you again my 3 hours of my eclectic mix of music and musings. In the meantime, thank you, Jerome. Go well, go happy, and wherever you go, bring happy with you. Take care. All
And
the
happy
best.
Christmas to everybody.
Indeed. Have a very happy Christmas.